watched the Kama Sutra for the first time yesterday. Oh my god. Well, I watched half of it 2 days ago and I finished it yesterday. The juiciest, that movie was so juicy. Like, the fact that I was hooked within like the first 5 minutes, within 5 minutes, this girl best friend he fucked her husband. Like, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I didn't have no idea what the Kama Sutra was about. I actually thought it was more about sex. Like, I thought it was more about Indian sex. I thought it was more about like sex. Like, I didn't know the Kama Sutra. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know what Kama Sutra is and tantric sex and all of that before. I understand that. I'm talking about the movie. I didn't know that the movie had like a plot, and it was so good. Now, the first thing that the Kama Sutra reminded me of was, damn, what was the name of the movie? It reminded me of a movie. First of all, it reminded me of Scarface, but I don't want to get too much into that because I watched Scarface for the first time last night, at 3 in the morning. But it did remind me of Scarface. But I'm gonna put that on the back burner. I'm gonna talk about what I really want to talk about. The Kama Sutra made me enjoy being a woman. It didn't make me enjoy being a woman, but it brought joy to me as a woman too. Cause I feel like the Kama Sutra was really a woman's tale, like a modern age woman's tale. Oh, that's the movie it reminded me of. It reminded me of Memoirs of a Geisha. I watched Memoirs of a Geisha a couple of months ago, and I've watched it several times since then. It's a really, really good movie. But it definitely reminded me of Memoirs of a Geisha in the same sense that it was about young women dealing with powerful men and seeking love and being denied it, and their journey from, a young girl to a young woman. It was very similar, the plots. But yeah, I feel like Kama Sutra was a modern tale of being a woman in this world, in this patriarchy. Like, I don't like to be like, listen, I don't identify as anything, but we all can see that this is clearly a man's world, and even, the Kama Sutra made me think of this saying, prostitution is the oldest job in history, right? And the Kama Sutra, essentially, the main character Maya kind of turned into an escort in a way. She was called a consort or something, consort, whatever. But in Memoirs of a Geisha, it was similar, where the main character became a geisha, which essentially is escort. Now, they dress it up real nice. I'm not going to do all that because I don't care. But each movie dresses it up really nice. So in Memoirs of a Geisha, they weren't called escorts, they were called geishas, and they were trained in the arts. Like, they were trained in dance, they were trained in music, to play instruments, to sing. They were trained to be entertainers. So I don't want to just water it down to an escort, but they also were selling their virginities and having sex with powerful men for dowries and money. So, call it what you want. In Kama Sutra, the young girls were being taught to be consorts, and they were also being taught the art of dance, the art of singing, the art of entertainment, and how to use what you have as a woman to get what you want, but it made me think of that saying, how prostitution is the oldest job in history. But I like to think that it's the oldest job in patriarchal history, because I can't imagine a society where women were equal, or maybe even the leaders. I can't imagine a system still working in such a way. Like, I feel like that only works in a patriarchal system. But because most people and historians won't recognize the matriarchal societies that have been happening for hundreds of thousands of years before patriarchy. It's a lot of history that gets erased, and a lot of our answers come from pre-patriarchal times, like a lot of them. But so many men, historians, won't even acknowledge that there was a time where they were not leaders, or where they shared that role with women. That it kind of makes it foggy. So I don't believe that that's the oldest. I don't believe it's the oldest job profession in the history of the world. I believe it's the oldest profession in the history of a patriarchal world. I'm so tired of saying that word too, so I'm gonna wrap it up because I don't even like how that shit sound. Patriarchy or matriarchy. It's just a mouthful. Matriarchy, but I really want to talk about the lessons I learned from Kama Sutra. Well, okay, I'm so excited because it was a really good movie. I love when I find like a really good, like a movie that speaks to me, you know. So yeah, I feel like it was a story for women, like because it told like a woman's journey, and the main character Maya, I really, 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 really liked her because she was trying to, or not trying, but she was figuring out the life she wanted, and she made mistakes. I don't know, like, because I think it's really easy to look at the Kama Sutra, because Maya did some fucked up shit too. It's really easy to look at the Kama Sutra and say this is the bad guy, this is the good guy, but it's kind of like equal, you know. So there was another story it really reminded me of. It was a biblical story. It really reminded me of a biblical story. Oh, The Emperor Has No Clothes. That was one of my favorite books when I was a kid. The Emperor Has No Clothes, and it's about this emperor who basically like ends up getting, well, this mean emperor, and he ends up kind of getting embarrassed because he has no clothes. But it's an old fable, and the Kama Sutra really reminded me of The Emperor Has No Clothes, because the prince in the movie was very arrogant and very like, you know what I mean? He was just real like, he wasn't the best ruler. He was very self-absorbed and very kind of hedonistic a little bit. But you know, it's a Monday. I figured it wouldn't be too many people out here. Maybe I figured wrong. But yeah, let's talk about the prince. The prince was so interesting to me because he had everything, and similarly to The Emperor Has No Clothes, he was never satisfied. He was never fulfilled. He was always still trying to find something to satisfy him in some way. I cannot believe, like, he was very self-absorbed. He wasn't a good ruler. And one of his I don't know if it was his mother or one of his the royal, what they call the people who be up there, the royal court. Somebody told him one time, like, you're not strong, your enemies are weak. And I was like, ooh. I really felt that, like, damn, you're not strong, your enemies are weak. And he was like, what do you mean? Like I'm the king, I'm the prince, like I'm ruling this shit. And like even then he couldn't process how he was not a good ruler, and it inevitably led to his demise. It's so much noise. But I thought it was really interesting that he was chasing. He ended up, okay, if you didn't see the Kama Sutra, he ended up killing his brother, his half brother. That's why it's biblical. Like, he killed his half brother, like, what the fuck? But he ended up killing his half brother, and because he couldn't have the woman he wanted. The woman he wanted was in love with his half brother, and I'm finna start over.